Okay, so the question being posed here is to define intelligence and to define the eight circuits. And so, in that context, what I'll say is this: during the course of the human lifespan, we go through several distinct stages, as defined by psychologists such as good old Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson, for example. And four of those in particular interest me as they correspond with the growth and development of our human brain and nervous system. I define them as the infant, the toddler, the preschooler, and the adolescent. You can think of them as being born into this world, walking, talking, and adulting, for example. And in my experience with men's work, we use the archetypes of the lover, the warrior, the magician, and the sovereign or the king. And it's basically the same thing in my mind, those same four dimensions. Either way you slice it, during these times we take on epigenetic imprints that shape our behavior and how we show up in the world. So those four developmental stages shape four dimensions of intelligence, or what I prefer to call dimensions of mind. Some in the past have used dimensions of consciousness, but yeah, all in the same ballpark. And so, with what I will call these soulful lower four dimensions, I believe we have four corresponding spiritual upper dimensions, and they're closely related to each other. I believe the spiritual dimensions are kind of an outgrowth or extension of the lower soulful dimensions. And from a Jungian perspective, we might call that developmental journey from the lower four a journey of separation. And then using my definitions, activating these upper circuits or upper dimensions is a journey of reunification. So the infant separates from the creator. The toddler separates from the mother. The preschooler separates from the vast world, well, not separates from, separates the vast world of other into a polarity of opposites, which complexifies into symbols and concepts. That one's kind of more abstract, and frankly, it's an abstract dimension. And then the adolescent separates from the family of origin. I want to pause here and just say that I want to recognize this is a kind of a vast generality around a kind of a traditional archetypes of, the mother and the family of origin. And not everybody got kind of that experience, so to speak, but the essence is still there. And this process is just shaped and therefore running in some way, shape, or fashion, even if it doesn't quite fit this traditional mold. And so with that side note said, I'll say you can look at the upper circuits or spiritual dimensions as a reunification. One, reunifying with the body, reunifying with the nervous system and a direct felt sense experience of the world, reunifying, well, what would I call it? Reunifying with everything. This sense of connectedness and unity. And then the fourth one would be sort of reunifying in such a deep way that you completely lose a sense of self and become, so to speak, one with the universe, but in a way such that there is no you to be one with. As we go along with the lessons, I'm going to go deeper into each one of those, but that's just my basic overview. Now, the question I did not see asked that I remember from when I took the course is how do we increase intelligence? And so what I'll say is that with the lower soulful circuits, our job is to integrate unfinished developmental material. So as the infant separates from the creator, she must find a sense of safety and security. As the toddler separates from the mother, she must develop boundaries and a sense of me and not me. You might call this a sense of self. As the preschooler investigates the complexity of the world, she develops what I'll call self-concept. And as the adolescent separates from the family of origin, she must find a sense of her role in the village. Now, We all have unfinished business in those areas, and our job, as I see it, is to accept and integrate that material from our childhood. We must confront our developmental shadows, so to speak. We do this, in my mind, through a process of embodiment and relationship with others, relationship to the world. This soulful, lower dimensional work anchors in our capacity to experience more spiritual, upper dimensional work. Likewise, our upper dimensional spiritual work can expose unfinished business in the lower soulful dimensions. And we can access these upper spiritual dimensions through the cultivation of receptivity and through intentional spiritual practices, through psychedelic experiences, including cannabis, and through sheer circumstance. Sometimes shit happens and life throws us a curveball and can crack us wide open to some pretty heavy shit or some pretty high shit, so to speak, if we're talking spiritual experiences. So I think that's it for today for me. That's really what I wanted to say for this first lesson, and I look forward to the coming weeks. Bye.